So I just started a reread of the first book of the Alex Verus series, which is my number one recommendation for any Dresden Files fan. And we just reached the point where we met Sonder. And if you're familiar with the Alex Verus series, then you know what I mean when I say that Sonder's character had an unexpected journey throughout this book. Well, the whole series, really. And today we're going to explore the rise and fall of our boy Sonder.
The Belated Binge Podcast.
Hi, and welcome to Belated Binge. My name's Zach, former radio host and lifelong sports fan, discovering the magic of urban fantasy through iconic series that I nearly missed, like Alex Verus, which was totally completed, I found, because of the internet telling me that it was like the Dresden Files. And I'm so glad that I found it, because I love these books. And so we're going to talk about them today with spoiler warnings for the entire 12-book series. But before we dive into our boy Sonder, who, as you will recall, is a time mage that is met in the very first book of the series. So he does have a series-long arc that we get to explore a little bit today. But before we do dive into him, I should probably set the stage for a little bit more of the background on how I found this series in the first place. As I mentioned, this was recommended in a lot of online lists and AI results and some, like Reddit forums and all kinds of things. You don't really call them Reddit forums, do you? They're like subreddits? I don't know. I don't Reddit very well. But as a fan of the Dresden Files, as I was reading the Dresden Files for the first time, I wasn't able to get my hands on all of the audiobooks at one time. So once I finished up the credits that I had on Audible, I had to it was like a race between Libby and my Audible credit for the month. Which one was going to happen first? Was I going to have my turn on the Libby app with the next Dresden, or would I get my credit from Audible and be able to get it that way? And I went back and forth like that pretty much from I want to say like the 11th book of the Dresden Files series. And that meant there was a lot of waiting for me in between, and I was desperate to find something to fill that gap. And the two series that kept showing up on all those places that I mentioned were Alex Verus and Rivers of London. I actually tried Rivers of London first, and then I tried the Alex Verus series. And I kind of weighed both of the first books against each other's, and I plan to share more thoughts on the Rivers of London series on this channel at some point in time. But basically, I thought the Alex Verus ending of book one was stronger than the Rivers of London ending for book one. So I gave book two of the Alex Verus series a chance, and then I was hooked. And so somehow I was lucky enough during this time that there was a promo going on Audible where the entire Alex Verus series was included with my monthly subscription. And I just started binging. Basically, the only time that I broke away from Alex Verus was when the next Dresden was available and I could get it. I even tried a couple times to take a break, take a step back. I'd finish a Verus book and I'm like, let me see if I can start something else, maybe flush the palate a little bit before I jump back in. And those breaks did not work at all, because all I wanted to know is what happened next to Alex Verus. And trust me when I say this, if you've read the series, you know what I'm talking about. The series reaches a point where there's not even a time gap between where one book ends and the next one picks up. It's literally like moment by moment, and you can't put the damn things down. So, needless to say, I quite enjoyed the series, and one of the characters in the series that drove me absolutely batshit crazy was Sonder. So today, we're going to try to figure out a little bit of what happened to Sonder. As a quick recap, we met Sonder in the very first book when Alex was trying to get the Fate Weaver. He was playing the balancing act. Basically, his life had been threatened by both the light mages and dark mages for the same reason. Everybody wanted Verus to help them get this stupid Fate Weaver. Apparently, he's the only diviner that everybody else was able to go and hide, and nobody was trying to track them down and murder them for this, but everybody was willing to kill Verus for it. So that's where we are. And that is how Verus got introduced to Sonder. Sonder was a light mage who was brought in as a historian expert plus his time mage, being a time mage. I believe that was kind of part of the package deal. He was really into history and his time magic, and it all worked out, and it was amazing for him because he's a huge nerd. He's super smart. He's super young for what they call a journeyman mage. Basically, he's fresh out of his apprenticeship, if you will. And he was trying to help them get into this historic tomb, if you will, so that the Fate Weaver can be recovered. And as the climax of the first book was unfolding, he ended up with Alex and Luna in that bubble realm, and Alex knew that there was someone there that was working for Levistus on the light side who was going to turn on them and try to kill them all for the Fate Weaver. And there was also people on the dark side for Morden that were absolutely going to try to kill them all. So what a pickle they were in that particular bubble. But the thing that was kind of ongoing throughout their experience in that bubble realm was that it might have been Sonder. Could he have been playing them the entire time? And maybe he wasn't this, bumbling, charming, nerdy guy. Maybe he was there to murder them all. But it wasn't. And after that, they got out. Alex, Sonder, and Luna became friends. And Sonder was the one who actually introduced Luna and Alex to Anne during Luna's apprentice ceremony. And then by extension, that brought Varium into the group. And so you had your little group and band of buddies that we follow through a lot of the book series. That is, until those adepts came to try to murder Alex. And this is where Sonder turned on him. And this is where we will begin to ponder what the hell was Sonder's deal, because it doesn't make sense. Sonder's a smart guy, okay? And he knew that Verus was a dark apprentice and not a light mage the whole time that they knew each other. That was not news. That was very common knowledge, not new. He bugged him constantly to be involved in the confrontations when Verus was trying to keep him safe and only in research roles. He was always telling him, I can do more. I can do combat. I can help more. I'm not just some book nerd. I want to be involved. I want to be right there with you on the, in the shit. He literally helped Verus fight Belphus directly. Now, all of a sudden, when Verus tells them the story about a kidnapping that he was a part of as a young dark apprentice, like a teenager, the story that made Verus change who he was as a person, got him imprisoned for nearly a year to try to save a girl, and drove him to escape his dark master. And then, without even getting into the psychological effects that had on Verus for his entire life, basically living on the run on his own with no help from anyone, and then he is brutally attacked and nearly murdered multiple times, yet almost kills himself trying to find a peaceful resolution to the people who tried to kill him several times before he finally has to go on offense to stay alive. Something he doesn't want to do, and actively tries to keep his friends out. His friends out. His friends out. Sorry, Bob. He actively tries to keep his friends out of the confrontation so that they don't have to have blood on their own hands. And Sonder and Anne both decide that Verus is a piece of shit. They certainly can't provide an alternative solution to the problem than what Verus had to do, so we're left only to believe that they would have preferred that their friend be killed rather than act in self-defense to stay alive. Anne eventually comes back around after Verus saves her ass again and never gives up on her despite her insistence that she wants him to. And their story goes the way that their story goes, which is quite a bit of a slow burn, but it is an enjoyable burn, even though it seems to take forever to get to the will they, won't they portion of that experience. But this is not an Alex and Anne video. Maybe we'll do one of those. This is a Sonder video, and Sonder stays a self-righteous asshole to the point of even trying to push Luna to find a new master to apprentice under in order to get away from Verus. This is a dude that Verus has personally saved, who looked up to Verus, who wanted to be more involved with Verus, wanted to fight alongside of Verus, and the moment that he hears something he doesn't like about Verus's past, he completely turned on him. I was hoping the entire time that we were headed for a cool redemption arc for Sonder. He almost had one. Like, there were opportunities for it because they did work together a few times after Sonder had turned on Verus. And there were chances. There were chances for Sonder to come back around and join the fight for the good guys, or at least our heroes of the story, and not be a total douche and doing a 180. And no, it really didn't happen. Early in Fallen, Verus actually does a recap of their relationship, and he thinks it's because he decided not to tell Anne and Veri about Jagadev's connection to their families. He thinks that's why Sonder can't get over their issues with each other. But come on. After reading the Favors novella from Sonder's point of view, it doesn't make it any better. He acts all offended when he uses his time sight to spy on his own friends, and they say he only cares about his career and his image. He gets pissed off when he uses it again, and Caldera and Rain say he's only there to look out for himself and his career. He spends the whole story complaining about not being taken seriously and not being important enough in his career. And when he has the chance to stand up for the right thing, what does he do? He doesn't. He chooses the outcome that's best for him and his career. So let's recap for a second. You use your unique magical talents to spy on other people, and you get upset with what you see when you do that. When you betray their trust, you don't like what they had to say. When it's not like they said anything mean about you. They didn't say, oh, that's Sonder. We really pulled one over on him. He's a real loser, huh? No, they said he is selfish and only cares about his career, which is accurate. Then, those were your friends. Same feedback from people that you work with. If it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it might be a damn duck. And Sonder is a big old frickin' duck. And it illuminates that while Verus thinks that their friendship ended over this like difference in ideals, it really didn't. It's Sonder's self preservation and political sensitivities. He says he got scared that if he kept helping Alex, that someone would eventually try to kill him, which honestly, that part is fair. But he also says that associations matter. And if he kept hanging out with him, that it would make him look bad. I kept holding out hope that the end of the series would be at least like that last ditch effort, some moment where Sonder came back around, and it never happened. In fact, he went out reinforcing his position, making sure that he told Alex no, he wasn't going to help him, ensuring that he'd stay in what he thought was his safety, his hidden safe position, and he wouldn't be seen following Alex or helping him. And he was killed for his stubbornness, worrying more about his perception and his politics than doing what was right. So that's how his character dies in the series. So long, I guess. You were cool once, but you really turned into a douche, Sonder. And I just don't understand the character motivations that go into it. Granted, it from a writing perspective, it makes for a really great side character alongside of Verus because you're rooting for that redemption. You're rooting for that connection to come back, and you're frustrated as all hell with that character. And those are emotions. The writer, the author, is evoking emotions. It's stirring shit up inside of you. And that's all you want your author to do. And that's what you want out of side characters. And I think it's actually kind of masterful from a writing perspective to never give you that satisfaction of, well, he finally came around. He doesn't get that heroic death. He doesn't get that coming back to save the day and he gets to die a martyr. He doesn't get any of that kind of any redemption at all. He gets, no, Alex, I'm not going to be seen helping you. I'm going to stay in my safe little bunker, and this is where I die. It was actually kind of fitting. If you're watching this on YouTube, please leave a comment. WTF Sonder. That's how I know that you stuck around. And subscribe to the channel, please, for more urban fantasy content, Dresden Files content, Alex Verus content. Harry Potter will be on the channel as well, and others that I find along the way. If you're listening on a podcast app, please leave a 5-star review. You have no idea how helpful that is. Think about how helpful reviews are in your life. You look for quality in reviews, right? So it would be great if you could, show some love here so other people know that this is a quality podcast that they can consume. And don't forget about Patreon, patreon.com/belatedbinge. There's bonus content over there, early access, other perks. It's cool. You should check it out and join. And remember, life is short. You don't need divination to see that. So weave your own fate in this world as long as you keep the Dreamstone connected to Belated Binge.